Hey, David, what's going on?
Hey, brother, man. I literally just told you yesterday, man. I like your content, man. A little bit controversial for me, but I dig it, man. You're doing a good job for one. So,
I appreciate your compliment, David. If you don't mind me asking you this, what do you think I say that is like controversial? Like in your opinion, because
uh,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. No, yeah, just like, well, I mean, to keep it a buck, I'm from Chicago. I'm a black man, born
Okay,
and raised.
gotcha.
I grew up my whole life Democrat, man, and then when 2020 happened during the coronavirus, I had all this time and I started doing research and stuff, and I
Yeah,
just totally lost all faith in the Democratic Party, like completely.
you lost all
Like, I
faith in
felt
the
like,
you lost all faith in the Demo. So who are you voting for?
I mean, right now, man, Trump, man, like, I mean, honestly, like,
Do you think Trump is fit for office?
well, how do you personally define fit?
I personally define fit somebody that's not a convicted felon, somebody that's not a liable sexual abuser, somebody that didn't incite an insurrection, somebody personally in the only president in the history of this country that has still not conceded the 2020 election. Those are just a few. I could name you many more.
Why is it so important that he concedes to it, though?
Because
All the
we
time. Why is that
because
so
we have
important?
something because good question, sure, because we have something called a democracy and we had something called January 6th, and when you have somebody who lies about an election, unfortunately there're going to be gullible people in this country that are going to believe what he says, and then they're not going to have confidence in our elections. Make no mistake about it. Joe Biden was a free and fair elected president. How do we know this? Because there's no evidence proven of widespread voter fraud that could have changed the outcome of the election. I'm shocked, sir, with all due respect, that that doesn't bother you.
No, it does, but at the same time, the Democratic Party bothers me as well. Like Obama was like bombing all these like drone strikes irresponsibly, But I mean, I get it though. At the same time, with respect, and then Kamala Harris, like literally, still to the day right now, has two of my friends locked up, and she was in the courtroom like proud of it. You know what I'm saying?
What did your
For
friends
petty
do?
weed
What
charges.
did your friends do?
No, the ounce of weed in California.
So they just were smoking a joint?
No, they weren't smoking. They
So
had
what?
they
So
had
what did they
possession.
do? When you say marijuana, does that mean they were growing marijuana in their backyard and made
No, they
millions of
had
dollars?
possession. They were in the car. They had possession. They got pulled over, and then they got arrested, and then
Okay,
prosecuted.
so they were driving under the influence of marijuana. Is that a fair
No, they
characterization?
weren't smoking. They weren't smoking. They had it on them, like
Okay, so
carrying it
you're
from a
telling
place
me,
to another.
okay, so hold on, let me backtrack. So you're telling me your
No, go ahead.
friends are in jail right now only because they had some joints in their car?
Yeah, pretty much,
Well, I
man.
don't believe that. Did they have any priors? I'm sorry, sir, with all due respect, I don't believe you. Did they have any priors?
Yeah, they did, but they were non-violent like priors. They were
Okay,
still weeds.
were they on probation?
Oh, that's a good. I don't believe so.
So
I
you
don't believe
don't so
so.
you don't know if they were on probation. You're not sure what their priors were. Okay, we can move on from that. So you have a personal vendetta with Kamala Harris because a couple of your friends, even though you don't know all the details in the case, she prosecuted.
Right.
Um,
Well,
okay,
not only that, and then it was like like Trump didn't make a whole new anomaly when I was actually there in Chicago at that Black Journalist Convention when that to see
so
that
you
whole thing
think so
happen.
you're okay. So you're okay with him going after Kamala Harris, saying she turned black. As a black man,
Yeah,
how do you
yeah,
feel?
man. Like I don't think she like a lot of my like family members and all the black people I know personally that I interact with and everything. They don't really think that she's black
Okay,
like that.
well,
I mean,
number
like,
one,
yeah,
okay, so
yeah, she's
hold on,
Jamaican.
hold on. So let's
Yeah,
backtrack here. Number one, I don't
yeah,
care what people think. What I care about are facts. I respect someone's opinion if I think they deserve my respect. But with all due respect to you, her father's from Jamaica, okay? 94% of people in Jamaica consider themselves black, okay? Her father and her mother's from India. There is
right.
no, what's the controversy there? You have Donald
Like,
Trump
look,
who's saying she turned black. You can't just turn black.
look,
I'm shocked that you being black, you're not offended by that.
Well, it's because like I'm offended upon how she picks and chooses when to be black. Like I understand, I acknowledge and I agree that she's Jamaican, so she's black, right?
When did she
But
pick
and
and choose that
but
she's not black? When has she ever said in her life that she's not black? You can be proud of her.
She says she's not black. She's like, she picks and chooses different audiences. I'm Indian over here, and then I'm black over here.
You can be proud of both. You can be proud of both your heritages. You can talk about one or the other. She's never said she's not black. Okay, so she's never said she's not black before. We all agree that she's partially, biracial. And Donald Trump's comments don't bother you at all.
It's like, so like you've heard the one drop rule, right? Back in the day, the racist type of rhetoric type of scenario, right? And upon that, like, African American people are different than Nigerians or Jamaicans.
Okay, but that's irrelevant. But I understand what you're saying. But that's
but I'm saying that's the connection that black people in America, her potential voters.
Why does it bother you that Donald Trump has had the whitest administration in decades? Does that bother you at all?
I grew up around white people my whole life. I mean, in the majority, I really don't care like that. Like,
so if you if you don't care all of a sudden about Donald Trump hiring one of the whitest administrations, then why do you care if she's black or not? Can you explain that to me? And why does Donald Trump care?
Well, Donald Trump, as far as I understand, like when I was at that event, that kind of just came up upon like random shit. It's not like he just went on his way to go and speak.
No, it's not random because what does it bother you when he goes after POWs and he says he doesn't respect John McCain because he was captured? Does it bother you that he's a triple dodging the military? Does it bother you when he calls them suckers and losers? Does any of that stuff bother you?
The suckers and losers thing's been fact checked.
No, it hasn't. No, actually, that's not true. John Kelly and General Milley are on the record, and they still abide by their comments and what they said. So it has not been fact-checked. It's been fact-checked basically.
But there was 19 other people who did the same, though.
There were 19. There were 19 other people that may not have heard the statement, but John Kelly said that he heard the statement, and General Milley did. So if you want to discredit generals for 40, 50 years that have served this country and you believe Donald Trump, that's fine. But I'm shocked that none of this stuff bothers you. When he says, I don't respect John McCain because I respect people who weren't captured, does that bother you at all? Or
no. I mean, it doesn't bother me like that, but it's upsetting to hear for sure. Like, I don't agree with that.
So it doesn't bother. So it doesn't necessarily. I respect the fact that you say you don't agree with it, but it doesn't necessarily bother you when he poo-poos on POWs. But it does bother you if Harris is talking about her Indian heritage in a speech, but doesn't talk about her black heritage. But that bothers you. But Donald Trump.
Well, no. That's fine. Like, because like. She stands on, like, you see the pictures and stuff, she stands on the Indian, and that's cool. I respect that 100%.
What,
you know what I'm saying?
What's wrong with that? She's also stood on the fact that she's also black. I don't understand why that bothers you more than Donald Trump inciting an insurrection and Donald Trump saying he doesn't respect John McCain because he was captured. It sounds to me like that bothers you more that Harris put your friends in jail and yet you don't know the specifics of the cases, and that bothers you more than Donald Trump going after our democracy, going after members of our military, attacking women based on looks. That's what's confusing me, sir.
Well, here's the thing, right? Let's go with January 6th, right? I never hear anybody, even possibly, I listen to all different spectrums. I try to get as much information as possible, right?
Yeah.
And I never hear. I've heard it one time, and I haven't heard it since. What happened with the bomber the night before that put 2 pipe bombs in the Senate?
Well, I'll tell you what happened with it. They investigated it, and sometimes during investigations, they can't come up with they can't solve a crime. They haven't solved the crime, but what does that have to do with Donald Trump inciting an insurrection?
Because if that happened the night before, then how did, like, obviously it was planned. It was pre-planned.
That's a conspiracy theory. We don't know who was responsible for it, but let me ask you one question before we go, because I'm up against the clock, sir. One more quick question.
Yeah,
if Donald Trump doesn't say the election was stolen, if Donald Trump before January 6th doesn't say that Joe Biden cheated, which he didn't, and the Democrats stole the election, does January 6th happen? Yes or no?
So you're saying
if Trump didn't lie about the election, does January 6th happen? Yes or no?
No, of course not.
I appreciate the call, and that's my exact point, sir. He incited an insurrection. I appreciate you answering those questions, though. I really do. You sound like a nice...
Hey, I thank you for taking my call, first of all. I have to tell you, you want to be an intelligent man, but the lady that was walking through the supermarket and the other person that made a racist comment to her, why did you immediately go to it being a Trump supporter when you have no idea
Sure.
who that was?
Sure. I'll answer your question. Okay. So I don't know who this woman is. I don't know where she's from. Here's what I do know. She made a racist statement. Here's why I say what I say. Here's why I'm still answering. I'm still answering your question, and then I will happily give you a chance to respond. Is that fair? Thank you.
That's fair.
Thank you. So much of, I would say, the overwhelming majority, I didn't say all, but the overwhelming majority of people that are attacking immigrants, brown people, gay people, are not Democrats in 2024. Example, many Republicans are anti-gay marriage. Many Republicans denounce minorities. It's why there are so few minorities within the Republican Party. Last I checked, white supremacists today, I'm not talking about 80 years ago, are Proud Boy members, Klan members, are all supporters of Donald Trump. Now, if you can find me a bunch of Klan people or Proud Boy members that are huge Kamala Harris supporters, then I'm all ears. Please let me know. We're talking about right now. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I saying that there aren't Democrats out there that aren't racist, because there very well probably are some. But is it possible that this woman who did this is not a Trump supporter? Sure, that's possible. But I'm going to go with an educated guess based on the demographic that it's probably somebody who agrees with Donald Trump.
Do you have any numbers of any polls beside your opinion that actually supports what you just said?
Sure. So here's the way I will answer that. There are no polls out there that ask you if you're a racist or not. And by the way, nobody would admit that they are racist, but I will turn it back on you. Of all the Klan members, by the way, the leader of the Klan is David Duke. He's a huge Donald Trump supporter. And the Proud Boy members and the Oath Keepers, which are three hate groups, by the way. Of those three hate groups, you tell me. Give me an educated guess of what you think. The Proud Boys, the Klan members, and the Oath Keepers, are those Democrats or Republicans? No. Please answer the question, sir, because I answered yours. Please answer.
My honest answer is,
yep.
I have no idea.
Okay, well, you're idea. Okay. So I'm going to ask you again, and I'm going to give you a little bit of context.
And then I'd like to weigh in as a Democrat.
I'm going to give you a little bit of context because I'm going to repeat myself. David Duke is a Donald Trump supporter. He is the leader of the Klan. When Donald Trump was on a debate stage several years ago and was asked about the Proud Boys, who, by the way, are all in support of Donald Trump didn't denounce them. He told them to stand back and stand by. Of the hate groups that were a part of January 6th, and there were all sorts of different white supremacist, right-wing fringe hate groups that had an opportunity to defend themselves in a courtroom, not one of them said they were voting for Kamala Harris. They were Trump supporters. So now, based on that information, sir, which is not opinion, those are facts, and if you don't believe me, you can look it up yourself. So I will now ask you again, based on that information, I'm asking you again, it's not on two people, it's on hundreds of people on January 6th, it's on the leader of the Klan, and it's on basically every single person that is a member of the Proud Boys who is not supporting Kamala Harris. So based on that information, sir, can you give me a little intellectual honesty and answer the question one more time?
The answer is there is no data to support your opinion.
No data. Hey, I didn't give you data. I gave you facts. I gave you facts.
No. Let's go to BLM.
Sure.
How many of BLM are voting for Trump?
Sure. So when you say BLM, hold on. I'm asking you because it's a stupid question, but I need you to clarify.
That's not a race.
Hold on. So when you say BLM, are you saying the 7 or 8 people within the organization? Or are you talking about the tens of millions of people that protested, those that did not commit crimes? When you say BLM, be specific.
BLM has more violent protests.
Will you be quiet? Will you listen to me? When you say BLM, listen, stop talking. When you say BLM, I'll ask it again.
Wow.
Are you going to listen? Pot him down. This MAGA dope doesn't know how to listen and pay attention. So I'll ask it anyway, and we'll see if this moron can answer it, this bird for brain. Sir, when you say BLM, I'll ask it again because MAGA people like you really struggle to listen. Are you talking about the 7 or 8 people that formed the organization, or are you talking about the tens of millions of people that protested? Can you please answer that very simple question, or are you going to say I have nerve again? Answer the question.
Let's go tens of millions that violently protested.
Okay, so pot him down again. This inbred moron. First of all, tens of millions of people were not violently protesting, you MAGA buffoon.
Okay, so
there was a small percentage of people. There was a very small percentage of people that did some very, very bad things. In fact, since you're so ignorant, you don't know, some of them were Proud Boy members and agitators that are from white supremacist groups. How do we know that? Because they were convicted in a court of law. Of the tens of millions of people I want to ask him a question now, because this is so mesmerizing how ignorant some of these MAGA people are. You mean to tell me that you think tens of millions of people throughout the country that were at Black Lives Matter protest, according to you, tens of millions of people were violent protesters? Is that what you just said, sir? Or would you like to clarify your ignorant statement?
I will say as many people at BML rallies got violent as much as the KKK and any other group you mentioned.
Okay, so pot him down again. First of all, I wasn't comparing January 6th to BLM. You were, number one. Number two, tens of millions of people protest throughout the country. You just said tens of millions of people were violent protesters. You obviously have no idea what you're talking about. So I will try one more time, and then I will let Ileana take over because, sir, I'm not getting anywhere with you because you have no idea what you're talking about. So let me start with the most basic thing. David Duke endorsed Donald Trump. David Duke is the leader of the Ku Klux Klan. Is David Duke a Democrat or a Republican? Can you please, let's start with something where we might agree with. Is David Duke a Republican or a Democrat? Please answer the question, sir.
I don't know, Mr.
I don't know. All you say is I don't know because you're an inbred MAGA buffoon is what you are, with an IQ of about 20. So here's what I suggest. Go buy your Trump Bible. Go buy your Confederate flag. Okay? Go get educated. Go burn your books. Okay? Go attack the gay community and the trans community. I can't have a conversation with somebody that is a moron like you. You are a moron, and you are Donald Trump's base. Have a nice day, you stupid inbred. Have a nice day. Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, as a
well, how do we know that she really believes that?
Okay, so let me ask you a question, if you don't mind, sir. Let's have a conversation here. Are you a Donald Trump supporter? And there's a reason why I'm asking.
Of course.
Okay, so you are.
Okay.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. When Donald Trump back in 2015 ran on two policies, if you recall, he said he was going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. And he also ran on, we're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it. 16% of the wall was built. Mexico didn't pay $1, and he never went after Hillary Clinton. Why would you vote for that guy who ran on two policies that he did not fulfill? If that's your problem with Harris, why would you support Trump?
As far as the special prosecutor situation, I can't really comment on it because I was like 15 at the time.
It doesn't matter whether you were 15.
15, you can't have a cogent thought or have an opinion at 15 years old.
Hold on, Thomas. How old are you right now?
Yeah.
23.
Okay, fair enough. Thomas, back in 2015, Trump said he was going to hire a special prosecutor to convict Hillary Clinton and indict her. He said it at every campaign rally. I'm not making it up. Your thoughts on that?
There's not an inconsistency if Donald Trump or the MAGA Republicans, as you call them, believe that Hillary Clinton is actually guilty.
It's not what you believe. It's that you have to have evidence to prove it in a court of law, which he never had. She testified under oath. The Benghazi, 8 hearings put forth by Republicans. The FBI interviewed her. There was no evidence that she committed any crime, at least not enough evidence to convict her, yet he campaigned off of that, and he was going to build a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it. Listen, Thomas, I know that not every politician can fulfill all their promises. I'm a pretty pragmatic guy. I understand that. But when you want to nitpick something when it comes to Kamala Harris and you support Donald Trump, I just get confused on that. Does it bother you at all that he's a 34-count felon, or does that not mean anything to you either?
Have you looked at the case law on that? Have you actually read through the case?
Are you an attorney? Do you practice law?
Are you?
No, I'm not an attorney, and I don't practice law.
That's a bad answer, though,
Yeah,
by the way,
yeah.
too. Yeah,
So-
it doesn't
so-
answer the question.
So
he
what
asked you,
you're
but yeah.
saying is all,
But Brian's not an attorney.
no. So all those other what about all those other indictments that he is facing? And let's forget about the criminality of it. What about the behavior? Do you condone that?
What behavior?
Well,
behavior are
let's
you
start
referencing?
here. Where do I start with the behavior? I'm so glad you asked that question. What about when he talked about John McCain and he said, I don't respect John McCain. I respect people who were not captured. What do you think about a statement like that?
It's not a deal breaker for me.
Okay, well, I didn't ask you if it was a deal breaker for you. I asked you what you think about the statement.
That's his opinion, and
That's his
really
opinion.
don't care
Okay, so
either
you
way.
can crap on anybody that served this country, and if they were a POW, if they say, I don't respect you because you were captured, your response to that is, well, that's just their opinion. Okay, what about sleeping with a porn star 2 weeks after his wife had Barron? What do you think about that? Is that just his opinion?
Doesn't
Or
he deny that?
what's that?
Doesn't he deny that?
Then why did he pay her $130,000? Please answer that question, sir.
Why did he pay $130,000 and not millions? You ever thought about that?
Is that a serious question that you just asked me? Okay, we'll move on. What do you
Yeah,
think about? What do you?
Brian,
Hold on.
Brian,
hold on.
the word
hold
comes
on.
ahead.
hold on.
It's
So
hypocrisy.
what I'm implying-
Hold on a second. Hold on a
You
second.
say it fit 17,000
Hold on a
times on
second.
the show.
So Thomas, hold on a second. So Thomas, what about January 6th? And to this day, he still doesn't admit that he lost the 2020 election, and he says the election was stolen. What's your excuse to that one?
Even at the most lenient and the easiest way to argue that is, at the very least, if it wasn't stolen with complete, with actual ballots, he can still argue that it was stolen with
You
media
can't argue
manipulation.
without actual facts. There's been no evidence to prove that there was enough election fraud to overturn the outcome of a free and fair election. That's not an argument. He had 61
No, there
chances
is
in a
no
courtroom
evidence.
to prove.
It's
Okay,
extremely highly suspicious.
okay, well, highly suspicious. You actually have to have real evidence to prove.
Yeah.
He was unable to do that. So again, the same question. He's already
Yeah, but
said.
why-
He's already
why
said
can't he
that if
make
he
that
loses,
claim?
he's already said that if he loses in November, he's not going to admit that he lost the election. You don't have a problem with that either, sir?
Hillary Clinton barely ever conceded.
Wrong.
was
She didn't.
complaining about
Wrong.
it
You're
for a
again.
year
You're wrong.
afterwards.
Now, even though the question.
BS,
So
more BS.
hold on. Even
more
though.
no, it's not. Hold on. More
Even though,
BS.
even though
It's
the
more
question,
BS.
even though the question wasn't about Hillary Clinton, because you see, sir, that's called,
And it's a lie.
what
what you
about
just
is
said.
but
It's a
maybe
lie.
you were 15 years old.
Yeah.
That's your excuse.
Yeah.
So let me remind you, because you might have been 15 years old. By the way, when I was 15 years old, I can still call out right from wrong when I was 15.
Yeah.
You see, Hillary conceded the following day. It wasn't a sort of concede. She conceded. She called Donald Trump and she said, congratulations. Why would you say she sort of conceded?
Do you have any respect for any election
Why
integrity?
don't
So he doesn't
Because
answer
most
questions.
Answer.
Democrats do
Hold
not.
on.
He doesn't answer a
Hold on,
question.
Chris. I'm going to ask you the question again, Thomas, because you're not answering, sir.
Mhm.
She called
Hillary
up.
Clinton could have made.
Thomas,
Hillary
I need you to
Clinton could have
listen.
made-
You're not answering
Mhm.
because you're talking. Thomas, she picked up the phone that night. She congratulated Donald Trump and she conceded. How is that sort of conceding? Please answer the question directly, sir.
She was complaining about it for a full
She
year.
was
afterwards.
never complaining about the
So, yeah,
election. She said he was an
arguably-
illegitimate. Excuse me. She never complained about the election. She said it was he was an illegitimate president because of his behavior. So I want to ask you one more question, sir, because we're really not getting anywhere. Okay, but I want to ask you one more question. Forget about the criminality. What do you make of his behavior in going after POWs, going after women on looks, not conceding an election, the election denying? What do you make about defying a subpoena for a year? Forget about even if you think he's guilty or not. What do you make of Donald Trump's behavior? And that has nothing to do with policy, and it has nothing to do with possible criminality. I just want to know what you make of his behavior in going after a woman on looks and turning a coronavirus press conference into a political rally. What do you make of his behavior? I want to ask you, sir. Go ahead.
I actually like his behavior.
Okay, well, have a nice
Actually
day.
think-
You're obviously a MAGA deplorable, but I appreciate your call. This man likes the behavior of some.
If I may,
Oh, yeah, of
well,
course.
I'm getting up there.
You want to
One
talk
other
about?
thing, if
You want
I-
to talk about tampons
Okay,
and
wait,
bathrooms
wait,
again?
wait.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
One other thing, if I may.
Please.
He was in the National Guard for 24 years,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a sergeant, a master sergeant,
Mm-hmm.
the highest rank in the Guard. for an enlisted man. And then he retired after we were going to Iraq. He didn't want to, after he was called to go to Iraq, he quit.
So now you want to go after a man.
What?
This is so despicable, but that's okay. I'm glad this is. So
I don't
what?
even
Hold on,
understand
hold
this
on, Eliana.
conversation.
Hold on, Eliana.
Matt,
Three people
what's so
aren't talking.
funny?
Hey, be quiet.
my
People
God.
aren't. Why don't you be quiet now? It's my turn to talk. This is a perfect example of when Donald Trump said, "I don't respect John McCain because he was captured." Here is a despicable man, and that's what you are, JD. You're despicable. Why do I say that? Here's a man who served this country honorably for over 20 years, but you're making an assumption that he didn't want to go to Iraq and somehow he's some sort of coward.
Not that he might have been too old.
Yeah.
At
Nothing-
that point.
and here's the thing, JD, you want to attack Democrats or want to attack somebody like me for not having the quote unquote facts, yet you have no idea why he decided to retire, and you're making a gross assumption, which is a despicable assumption, which is what you right-wing turds do all the
Wait,
time.
can
You
I?
are making an assumption that this man stepped down because he didn't want to go to war in Iraq, even though he served for over 20 years honorably, and it makes you a
attaining the
deplorable,
highest rank.
and you sound like Donald Trump when you talk like that. So go ahead and vote for your rapist turd.
can I-
Let me ask him a question real
Wait,
quick.
wait, can
Let
I-
me just
okay.
ask him a quick
And then
question.
I want to say something.
Do you know for a fact, since you're a man of facts, you claim, that Waltz retired over serving for over 20 years because, quote, he didn't want to fight the war in Iraq? Do you know that for certainty, JD?
A man by the name of Colonel Tony Schaefer
Uh-huh.
made that assertion today. Retired
makes it
colonel.
right.
Got you. So why is it that when somebody makes an assertion that Donald Trump called our brave men and women suckers and losers,
He never called him that.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
lying again.
right,
did.
right. So Millie,
Absolutely, he did.
we should call
He
Millie.
never
Hey,
did.
JD.
Yes, he
okay,
did.
hold on. So JD, when Millie makes a claim and he puts it in writing, a general for years puts it in writing, that must be a lie. But some colonel that I've never heard of before makes a claim.
Tony Schaefer.
I've never heard of him
Tony
before.
Schaefer.
Okay, so he makes a claim
An assertion.
that an assertion, as the
Right.
way you put it, that this guy stepped down after 20 years of service because somehow he was afraid to go to war in Iraq. That must be true, that assertion. But when General Milley says that Donald Trump called our brave men and women suckers and losers and puts it in writing, that's a lie. JD, get the hell off my show. You're a deplorable and a
hold on.
disgusting
I
human
want to
being.
make a comment just so that, just from a female perspective, right? We're having this conversation for the most